So it is another weekend. It's quite late in the day on Saturday to be starting this, but I've actually been really busy this morning doing a whole load of other stuff. So I'm only really just getting to it now, and it's 2:45. So how far we're going to get, I don't know. But that's partly why I've decided to pick this project for this week, because I have written a board of the things that I want to get done. And it's the board, of course, that I used when I was doing my Art Deco weekend and I had all these things. And I found that really helpful to have things on the board and then cross them off as you go. It's that sort of ticking it off when you've done it, sort of hit of dopamine that sort of helps. And so one of them on here is the pinstripe skirt. Now, I don't know if you remember, it was quite a while ago now, several videos ago, I had been going through my scraps box. Oh, actually, I should close this door, shouldn't I, so that it doesn't start doing weird things with the focus. I think it worked. What do you think? A few times I forgot to cover up the mirror, and then obviously a few times I had covered up the mirror, and I did think that it made a difference, so I'm going to do the same. Still haven't made it beautiful. It's not ideal, and it's not very handy-dandy for a shorter person, but anyway, it works. So this is my scraps box in here, and as I was going through my scraps, I did actually discover an old project which, oh golly, I started ages ago before we moved to the Pocket Farm, when I was still working full-time, when we were living in an apartment in the city. And this skirt that I started was a sort of a suiting wool black pinstripe skirt. Well, obviously, don't have much call for it in my current lifestyle. However, I hadn't actually cut into it, and I thought, well, it's mostly made. I could just finish it and then I'd have a nice wool pinstripe skirt. So that's what I'm going to do. I have it in a project bag already, along with a shirt. My sewing room is covered in these types of things. This shirt was perfect. It fit beautifully. It's a French shirt. It was just a really nice fit on me. And so when it eventually died a death, I thought, I know, I'll cut it up and make a pattern from it. Has that happened? No, not yet, but I have it here. Look, I've taken all the bits apart. I just literally need to draw around the edges. Anyway, we'll take that out of this project bag, put it back on the shelf of things yet to do, and now this project bag just has this skirt in it. It's covered in fluff and it's a bit of a mess. So hopefully you can see this pinstripe, and it's rather nice. It's a black wool suiting, and the other thing is that I don't wear black anymore. I sort of made a decision a little time ago that I had just so much black in my wardrobe. The thing about New Zealand is it's a very small population, and so rather than having multiple colours in the winter, they generally just have black and sort of one other colour, basically. So they pick a colour of the year, whether it be, I don't know, blue or something, and that's the colour. So you can get black or this one other colour. It's not like in other countries where you have like a whole rainbow of colour. You know, you can have maroon and green and brown and black and you name it, white, whatever you want. In winter in New Zealand, everything is black. So I had ended up with a wardrobe full of black skirts, and so I literally banned myself from black. I don't think I have anything black in my wardrobe now. I have one black dress, little black dress, which is for going out in the evening. It's a very sort of chiffon-y type of thing. I wear it every now and again, but it is one of those dresses that you have in your wardrobe where when you need it, it's just the thing. So it stays in my wardrobe, but that's the only black dress that I have. So a black skirt wouldn't be a bad idea, I don't think. So this is the skirt. Now hopefully it's all done, like all the darts are in. It's sort of pretty much done. It has no top and it has no bottom. I have made this pattern 2 times before, and it's very nice because it's a sort of a skirt that comes on and then it literally wraps over and ties on with a belt. It is actually a commercial pattern, this one, so and I didn't need to alter it because it has 4 darts on the back. And then because the front wraps over, it actually fits very nicely. So I haven't actually had to make any adjustments to it whatsoever. This is made straight out of the packet. So I have the skirt, and I even have the lining. Look, the lining is also all done with its darts no top, no bottom. So these two need to get attached together. Like that's sort of it. This project has to be 7 years old. No, more than that, 8 years old. This project has to be 8 years old. And all I need to do is join the two bits together. Now, the other thing is, do I have any of this scrap left over? I have a sneaky suspicion I do. Because, yeah, if I do have a bit of this fabric left over, I could consider other things. I have made an amendment to this pattern. Because this skirt doesn't have a lining. The original skirt just is the skirt and then it has a facing. Now I didn't do a facing, I did a lining exactly the same as the skirt, which means that this sort of has to stitch together at the top. That may or may not go well, so because the facing had interfacing on it as well, so there was a sort of a stiffness to it, and last time I made it the fabric was thicker and had more structure. So of course this fabric is a light wool suiting, so it sort of has a bit of drape to it, and then of course the lining has no structure at all. So my concern is that if I join them sort of at the top, that it might all just be floppy. So I'm not quite sure what to do about that. What I might do is pin it together and just try and mock it up, put it on and see what happens. And then if I do have some scrap fabric from this original project, I could maybe do some sort of facing thing to add a bit more structure, or I could do some interlining is another option. Not really sure. It's a bit of trial, test, all that. Now, I don't think I've changed shape. I would imagine this skirt still fits, but as you can tell, all to play for 8 years later. So let's have a look in the scraps box, see if I have any left over of this, which would bring into play the potential for pockets, and then we'll work it out from there, I think. Success! Sometimes it pays to never throw anything away. So I have this bit, 2 pieces, sort of selved edge. It has a rather nice selved edge on it. I think that's rather attractive. I'm just very tempted to add that sort of into the design somehow. I really like that. And then we have a seriously good chunk of this left. And that's double. So it's a double piece. Not bad at all. So yes, definitely the raw materials. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, that's another thing. Things out of the bottom of boxes. I've got a terrible dust allergy. So this is probably going to make me sneeze. I might prevent that going at an allergy tablet right now before it kicks off. Otherwise the rest of this video will be me eyes streaming and sneezing all over the place. But yay, we have the raw materials. I think this project is on. What I might do next actually is try it on, because clearly to find out whether it's vaguely gonna fit is the next trick. Okay, well I've just slipped it on and it does fit. So it needs a bit of a press and a bit of de-fluffing, but yeah, definitely something to work with. Yeah, the insides are all overlocked. Right, I'm going to pin the lining to the skirt. I didn't show you what was going on because I literally just had it like sort of my skirt all pulled up like this to try it on. But I will pin the lining to it, get it into a sort of a better state. Oh, the other thing of course is I'm going to need a belt. So good job I've got plenty of this, because this is probably what this bit is actually. Yes, because of course to tie it one needs the belt. Okay, so I have found the pattern. Here we go. It's Burda 7216. It's, as you can see, the line drawing actually is probably more useful. So there's a couple of different versions. One of them has a zip, and the other one, which is the one I've made before, is this sort of, well, what I've done is I've joined them together. I've got the grey version, but I've done it in this length, and then I've put in the back vent. There's a back vent on the longer one. but I've used the wrap on the front. By the looks of the images, it is designed more for a sort of a light linen. What does it say? Linen, lightweight denim, crepe fabrics and cottons. Wool suiting's what I've got. But there is no lining. Oh, out of breath. I've been under my table pulling out all these boxes and patterns. So I think what I've done is I've just recreated the inside, and yes, you can see there's a belt. There's a belt that I need to make as well. So I need to get the pattern pieces out, get the instructions out, and see. It says it's easy. It's easy, facile. So anyway, let's get these pieces out and see how much more we've got to do. I have pressed and defluffed the lining now, so that's looking better. And the same is for the outside, looking less like a rag that I've just pulled out of a rag bag, and more like the sort of wool suiting partial skirt that it is. So I think that is definitely looking more like a skirt. So read the instructions and then I've got to figure out what to do next. Well, this is hilarious because having just gone into the pattern, I have found the original pattern pieces, the instructions, and 2 handmade pattern pieces, front and back. So clearly, no, this pattern out of the packet does not fit me and never did. This is why I have 2 pattern pieces in here that are my actual dimensions. Thought it was strange that a pattern straight out of a commercial pattern actually fit me. I didn't think that was very likely, and it isn't. So anyway, got the instructions now. Let's have a little read and we'll see what we need to do. There are quite a few sort of loose threads hanging around. It's a bit of a bird's nest in here, so I'm actually just going to trim up some of these loose threads so it's a neater working environment. The same on the hem. Obviously it's sort of shredded as it's been sat in that box, but yeah, a little bit of trimming and then I should be able to get it together. But I think we're almost in one piece now. The other thing that's difficult to find in my sewing setup is some black thread. I do have a bit at the top. I found a dark grey bobbin which I think will probably do the job. I don't have that much black thread because, as I say, I don't have many black things in my wardrobe, but I think what I've got should do the job, I think. So let's hope I have enough. Again, dark fabrics, not the easiest to see, is it? But I think I really quite like it. It's looking quite smart. I like the way that this sort of flops down at the front, but it is quite floppy all the way around. I think I'm going to have to put in some sort of stiffening. Otherwise it's just going to fall down all the way around, which is not sort of the look I'm going for. See, I don't mind if it has a little bit of a flop like that. I mean, that's quite nice. I mean, the original design sort of sits up like this, but I quite like the flop, but not too much. I don't really want to do sort of iron-on interfacing. I wonder if I've got any non-iron-on interfacing. I'll have to look in my stash and see. Yeah, but actually now it's ironed and defluffed and pressed and all the rest. I think it's really smart. I do like it. Okay, so the question is, can I find some interfacing for this skirt? Because I feel that it needs sort of this top bit down to the waist needs some support, because this fabric, as you can see maybe from here, is really quite sort of floppy and doesn't have any structure, and of course the lining is very floppy. So I have interfacing in this drawer. The question is, I mean, I have stretch, I have black, I have white, but mainly I have quite a fine interfacing. Do I have, oh, I've got some very stiff stuff there. Now it's white. I don't think you'd see it because it's dark. But this is really quite stiff. It's quite a noise. Would that be an issue? Okay, so there's that. It's quite stiff. What else have I got in here? Oh, this is even stiffer. I have a feeling I had this left over from when I made a hat brim. So this is really quite weighty, this interfacing. And then I had this interfacing, which was the first lot of interfacing I found, which is maybe a sort of medium weight, I suppose, medium to heavy. Depends how you rate this, really. I use a really light interfacing because I don't like things to sort of be too stiff. But I'm thinking with this, the way this comes up, sort of to height up here, that it almost sort of needs boning in a weird way. So I'm wondering whether, if I just use this stiff interfacing just on this piece up here, the first thing, of course, is to make a pattern piece. So I'm going to have to get the pattern pieces out that I made for the skirt. And then, of course, if you remember, there's all these sorts of darts through here. So what I'm going to have to do is make a pattern piece with those darts taken out, so it'll be one piece that's sort of probably curved, you know. So I need to make that pattern piece first to see how big that is. Of course, the front piece is just flat, so that's just one flat bit. But the back will be a sort of a curved piece, so I need to work those out first. Okay, so I just had this fleecy fabric, which I put underneath. This is just a bit of scrap paper here. I have my tracing wheel, which makes little holes, and then this is the pattern of the top. So I only want to take the piece to the waistband. So this is the waist mark, and then this is the top part. So all I want to do really is just mark off that and then the darts. So I'm just going to mark the waistline, and then trace, just basically use my little wheel to mark. Okay, so now I just need to go over these marks with my pencil and my rulers and things, and then I can just see what I've got in the end. But I need to take out those darts now. So I have cut out the piece. I have taken off the seam allowance off one side, the centre back seam, because of course I want to put that on the fold, on the interfacing. And I have removed the two darts, because of course I can cut this as one piece now, because the only reason the darts were in was so that it could then come out and go over my hips and all the rest of it. Just being the waist piece, I don't need those darts in there at all, so I can take it out and just cut that piece on the fold, and that will be a neat little piece. So I think what I might do is cut this out of the lighter weight interfacing, because I've got way more of that. Test that, and if I feel it's not thick enough, then I could do the heavier weight. I think that's what I'm going to do. I also need to cut the interfacing piece for the front as well, so I'm going to do that next. I have put in the medium weight interfacing. As you can see, that is actually sort of providing the rigidity that would hold up. Certainly around my body, that is going to stand up. So I'm pleased with that, and I think it still has the softness that it will fold at the front and drape. Obviously there isn't anything in the skirt part, it's just on this waist part. So my next challenge is, how do I keep the lining sort of in place? I think what I'm going to do is essentially stitch at the waist, which will be sort of covered over by the belt, just sort of tack through all layers. There's obviously a seam here, so I'm sort of going to stitch in the ditch, if you like. On the inside you will see the black thread, but of course it will be at the waistline, so that'll be fine. And then, because I don't really want to have like a stitching line here, I mean I could stitch the top, but it's going to make it look a little bit tacky and not sort of more fine tailoring, which is the sort of look I was going for. So I think what I might do is just do some little prick stitches all along the inside, just hand stitch, to sort of tack the lining almost sort of understitch, if you like, into the lining layers that are underneath and not coming through on the front side. Obviously when it flops over you'll see the little prick stitches, but I think if I do it really evenly it'll just look quite cool. And I'll do it in this silver. If I've got a thread that's matching, I'll do it in the silver so it will be quite difficult to see. I think that should hold it down okay. So I think I will do the fabric belt because I've got it already cut out. But I also think that this would look quite nice, sort of tied with a different sort of belt. Maybe, in my head I've got this idea, maybe I would use a tie, like a man's tie, as a belt to hold it on. I think that might look really cool. Anyway, I need to get the belt done and then just do a bunch of hand sewing just to get this lining to tack into place. And then we can try it on and make sure that it works out. What I also think I might do is go inside between the lining layers, between the lining and the outside. I'm going to come up underneath, find where that interfacing hits the seam lines inside, and I'm just going to do some internal tacking there as well, again to hold it down so that, you know, when I clean this, and I am planning to hand wash this, not dry clean it, and so when I'm cleaning it, I want it so that the interfacing doesn't sort of have a tendency to ride up or anything like that. So there's a little bit of sort of secret internal hand stitching to do to try and make it look sort of seamless and neat on the outside. So I'm going to get on with that. That's going to take a bunch of time. But I think it will be well worth the time and effort taken. So let me get on with that. Okay, so I've done some fairly neat little hand sewing. I have little pick stitches all the way along the top just to hold that lining in place. And then I've also done some little pick stitches along the waistline of the skirt as well. Then on the inside, to hold this extra piece of interfacing down, I'll show you what I've done there. Okay, so under the lining, where the interfacing has met the main fabric, I've just done some very sort of light catch stitches, just taking the tiniest couple of threads from the main fabric and then actually catching the interfacing. And of course what you're seeing here is the pick stitches from the other side. So you see that I've run the thread underneath and I come up, just do a little stitch there. And so the lining is attached to the interfacing is attached to the front. And so then hopefully you can see on the front that those tiny little pick stitches are sort of barely visible. You can just sort of see the indentation if you sort of move the fabric a bit, but very, very difficult to see. And of course this will be under the belt anyway, so I just wanted to do a really neat job and not sort of do any machine stitching, which would have looked really ugly, but this will be covered up by the belt. Okay, well, I'm quite pleased with this. What I've done is just sort of put it up sort of so that it's straight, and then I'm just using this belt for now just to sort of hold it on. But it's fitting really nicely, and there's sort of some element of sort of corset about it because it's sort of quite up under the bust, which is nice. So this is with it up and folded over completely. Again, really difficult to see how it's sort of working, but hopefully you can see it closer up a little bit. And then of course what I can do, I mean, this is with the interfacing in, which is great because it has made it more rigid, which is nice, but I can still sort of flop it over, which again I think is really quite chic. I can flop it over quite like a lot. I mean, I can make it quite significant, which again I think is quite stylish and edgy. Or I can have it just more of a smaller flop. Of course, I could move this to the center or move it around. The other thing I can do, of course, is to pull that down. So make this more of an angle. Oh, can you see it? Yes, I can pull this down to make this more of an angle. And again, I think I could sort of flop it over again and have some sort of, I don't know, I'd have to play with it, but I think it's really quite cool. So yeah, very pleased. Either down as a sort of a diagonal, or to have it straight up and keep it sort of flat across the top. But yes, very pleased with that. Now what I need to do is get my daughter to hem the bottom, and I think I want to keep it very sharp on the bottom. Of course, at the back there is actually a back vent which is stitched closed at the moment, but there will be a back vent, so there will be like a little flash of the silver there as well. So if I have a flash of the silver here, there'll be a flash of the silver at the back vent. So very pleased with that. On with the next step, I think. I have had my daughter put some pins in the bottom, so that's all ready to hem. And now I'm turning my attention to the belt. So I've basically just sort of ironed it flat. I've stitched it in the middle, cut a piece of interfacing, just sort of going on the inside. I've got some black, sort of fairly lightweight interfacing, which I've used for the belt. I don't want it ridiculously stiff because I think it won't knot very nicely. I probably won't wear this belt very much, to be honest. I quite like it with a sort of an actual belt, or maybe even an old tie or something a bit sort of fun like that. So I don't want to make this too thick. But anyway, it's an iron-on interfacing, so I'm just going to iron that on. And then I'm going to turn it round, stitch around the edge, quick belt. And then the only thing then that I've got to do is, oh no, actually I was just going to say I'm just going to hem it, but it's a little bit more complicated than that, because of course we have this back vent, which I have stitched closed at the moment. But what I will need to do is open up this vent, you know, do all the stitching on the vent, and then with the lining I'm going to have to sort of hand tack that to the vent, and then sort of hem the lining as well. So there's a little bit more fiddling about on the lining than just your average sort of hem. But of course I want to make a nice job of it, because this will be a sort of tailored skirt, if you like. So it is already covered in Maggie hairs, so probably not something that I'll be wearing at home. But I thought, look, it was already mostly made. Why not finish it off and actually get the skirt? So that's what I've decided to do, and I'm really quite pleased with how it's looking. I wonder how I can style it. That's going to be the interesting thing, actually. I shall go through my wardrobe and try all the different bits and pieces and see how to style it, because it could be quite sort of traditional, a little bit more formal. It could be a bit more edgy, a bit more punky. Oh, I could probably dress it down, could I? I don't know. So that's loads of fun to try yet when I go into my wardrobe, pull all the stuff out that I've got and see what looks good with it. It's always useful, I think, as well, because once you've finished a garment, you do sort of want to know what it goes with in your wardrobe. Anyway, enough chatter from me. Let me get on with this belt, get this done, and then I can finish off this hem.